Hydrogen will be a clear winner.
Yeah.
Clearly. A lot of people sit behind the wheel like a sack of potatoes, mate. To get on a motorbike would be an education for them.
A robot would be no match for me.
Yeah, I mean, what would you rather have? How could you complain against any of those things? They can only be positive, mate. Save a lot of broken hearts.
But it's worth it. Paying that extra bit, then you're going to save a lot of money on fuel each year. This is your late night fix. Hey guys, and welcome to the Late Night Fix. This is episode 10. I'm Muzzi K with my co-host Hazza. How are we tonight, bro?
Going on, Muzzi K, how are you?
Good, very good, man.
Excellent. Episode 10, here we are, and joined in the studio tonight with us, we have Dave and Henry. Again, good evening. How are we?
Good to be back.
Dave, how are you?
Oh yes, great, son. It's more than good. It's great.
Excellent. So tonight's episode is about transport, and transport is being revolutionised at the moment. We're making this change now from petrol or fossil fuel-based cars to renewable cars, I suppose, or cars that depend on renewables. So let's talk about that. We're all sort of in some way involved with transport, or we have been involved with transport as a career or as a livelihood or a job rather. Muzzi K, you're involved now with heavy transport.
Yep.
Dave, you've been involved with heavy transport yourself and you've worked for the railways.
Yes, I have. I've had a varied career in transport. It's all been fascinating, sometimes dirty beyond description.
Yeah.
But it's all been interesting.
Excellent. And Henry used to work in aviation, and now you're working for a rideshare app for Uber.
That's right.
Excellent. So, gentlemen, what do we think about renewables? What are your opinions? Muzzi K, let's start with you. I know you've got a hybrid car. Talk to us about that.
Well, look, renewable energy, man, it's a whole new generation that's coming up in the years. Mm-hmm. You know, like we've got hybrid vehicles at the moment and EVs as well, electric vehicles.
Okay.
In the years coming, you know, there's going to be more electric vehicles and eventually hydrogen vehicles, man.
Hydrogen,
powered by hydrogen.
Can I ask, in terms of fuel economy, when it comes down to dollar figures, how is your car compared to a conventional car?
Well, with a hybrid vehicle, you know, it's not idling when it's stopped at the lights or wherever. So when you switch it on, it's basically running on the hybrid battery, and the engine doesn't turn on. Okay. And that's how you save a lot of money on fuel.
How does the battery charge?
So how the battery charges is by the engine. Mm-hmm. The engine charges the hybrid battery.
Okay.
And also it's got regenerative braking system as well too. So if you're going downhill or when you're braking, that charges the hybrid battery.
Okay. And in terms of cost, I have heard that hybrid vehicles or vehicles that are completely electric, they're quite expensive to buy. How do you finance a car like that?
Look, it is a bit expensive. It's around $1,500 more on top of like a normal regular car.
$1,500 or
$1,500.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
But it's worth it. Paying that extra bit, then you're going to save a lot of money on fuel each year. Plus, you've got an incentive on your rego every year as well too. You know, so I'm not sure how much the discount is on the registration. That's a thing that's hidden behind the scenes. It doesn't show on your registration paper saying, you know, how much is being discounted. So, you know, it would be nice for Service New South Wales to show that.
Okay.
But apparently it's, I don't know, a few $100s cheaper than like a normal petrol car or something like that.
Okay, so no regrets. And I know that you had to order your car specially made from Japan. It wasn't something that...
Yeah, well, obviously when a new car comes out, they make an announcement, you know, because people go crazy over hybrid vehicles, especially when it's a Toyota.
Okay.
And, you know, people go and, you know, put an order in and then the dealer says it's going to be about 6 to 8 months wait. Well, mine took about 8 months.
Okay, excellent. You mentioned hydrogen power. We'll get to that towards the end of the episode. But before we do that, Dave, you've had a varied career in transport, and I know in one of our earlier episodes you spoke about how difficult vintage cars were to drive back in the day, and how you had real drivers back then. What's your opinion on the way things are going with technology in cars, vehicles, and whatnot?
Well, when you touch on the topic of renewable energy, I've got to be quite blunt about this, but wind in particular doesn't have the ability for sustained power, and that is a requirement on the grid. It's inconsistent power, which only works when the wind happens to be blowing in the right manner.
Okay.
And not excessive either.
Sure.
The replacement of blades and the rate of wear, I think, makes it unsustainable. Where we should be going is nuclear power, and people will lay the accusation against Chernobyl, but you've got to remember Chernobyl was the worst-run industrial facility in Europe, run mainly on vodka, and but I might also add that none of the planned or projected mutations ever occurred. Around Chernobyl.
Sure.
But Clive Palmer, although I disrate him in most other ways, particularly pertaining to his support of or against the vax, I will, and I probably will vote for him because he supports nuclear power.
But going back to transport, sorry. So in terms of transport, petrol cars, electric cars.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's much less polluting.
Sure.
On the face of it, to have electric cars.
Okay.
But we're going to have problems and increased. What's the word? It's a simple word, and it doesn't come.
Like an increased burden, or on the grid? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to help.
Dirtiness.
Dirtiness.
Yeah, pollution.
Okay.
Because the required rare earths and minerals have to be extracted out of the ground.
Sure.
And that is going to lead. Look, there's no known industrial process which doesn't entail either a certain amount of danger or inconvenience to someone.
Okay.
If people want to live a Western style lifetime,
yes,
they've got to be prepared to pay for it, and without resorting to massive power bills like we have in Australia, which has been given to us by our refusal to embrace nuclear power.
It might also, correct me if I'm wrong, but they might make the cost of electricity the way it is at the moment to stop waste. Is that sort of to stop consumers from wasting electricity, or is that sort of?
Well, that might be an indirect.
I think it's an intended.
I mean, how can people complain about excess usage of electricity when you look at the city skyline and you see all those unoccupied office spaces, and all the power going into them? How can you justify that?
Yeah,
I mean, if that's where you're coming from, that's hardly supportive of any sort of a policy. Were you implying that the government was trying to
I thought that,
discourage people?
Well, I thought that was the idea underlying.
No,
charging
that's an
people for
indirect
water or utilities. Yeah,
no, that's an indirect
result.
result
Okay.
of people, of our backward thinking on power.
Okay.
In Germany
Yeah.
and France,
Yeah.
over almost 70 years of power generation
Yeah.
or nuclear power, there was no untoward incidents.
Yes.
Since the Greens have got in Germany
Yeah.
and decided in their wisdom to go back on that, they've been importing coal-generated power from Poland.
Oh, gee.
Now, what does that tell you?
I haven't heard those stories. I'll have to verify that. But
Okay,
yeah, if that's the
you
case,
investigate
yeah.
them.
But if that is the case, then of course that is not ideal. Certainly,
Far from ideal.
of course. Okay, scooting across. Thank you, Dave. Scooting across to Henry. So you've worked in aviation, and now you're working for Uber. I just did a little research very briefly before. So in Australia, Uber is offering all of their current drivers who purchase a fully renewable electric or hydrogen vehicle a 50% reduction in their monthly operating costs. Hydrogen's place in the road transport ecosystem requires a serious consideration given that it's more practical than electrical vehicles in refuelling. And that's from stockhead.com.au, and that's a reasonably recent article. I didn't know that. That's from the 1st of June this year. You work for Uber, but you don't have an electrical vehicle, or an electric vehicle rather. Are you planning to get one? What are your thoughts? Where are you headed?
Yeah, I think I'll get one in the future.
Okay.
It's just when I purchased the car about last year, the car and the car was relatively cheap, and fuel was still cheap at the time
Yeah.
before the fuel jumped up to like over $2 now.
Over
like-
$2.
Is that record breaking?
Wow.
Yeah, is that record breaking fuel price at the moment?
It's the premium. The premium 98 is around $2 a litre.
I paid $1.80
crazy.
the other day, but $2 is
This is also mental,
yeah.
regional instability in the Middle East isn't helping the situation at all.
Okay.
It's fueling it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's fueling it.
But it's
mate.
also prompting people to consider electric vehicles, which is an indirect,
Yeah.
but a good. Is I mean, it's prompted you to think about that.
Oh, it is heading towards
Yes.
that way. Yeah,
Yes, okay.
I'm driving a Mercedes at the moment, and Mercedes
Ooh.
has announced
Yes.
that by 2030,
Okay.
all cars will be electric.
2030.
Yeah,
All the cars they manufacture.
yeah. All the Mercedes will turn electric by 2030.
But
Same with Jaguar cars.
are they not considering, Muzzi K, are they not considering hydrogen vehicles, Mercedes? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think there will be hydrogen Mercedes Benz as well.
Okay.
Because I think everyone knows, because electric vehicles, everyone knows that word, right?
Yes.
But when you say hydrogen,
Hydrogen.
some of them people don't know what that is. So that's why, I guess it's better to say EVs, or electric vehicles. They understand them more because they think, it's battery powered vehicles. So, but even with hydrogen, it's the same thing. But what's powering? It's basically hydrogen, and it converts it to electricity.
Okay. So I know you're a big advocate for hydrogen vehicles. Why don't you explain that to our listeners? Talk to us about hydrogen vehicles. How do they work? What are the options for heavy transport?
Yeah.
Tell us what you know.
I mean, hydrogen vehicles are really good because, you don't have to plug in the vehicle itself. You just fill it up like a normal petrol or diesel car. And, you just fill up full tank and you get about, I think, 800 to over 1,000 Ks on a full tank.
Wow.
So that will take about 3 to 5 minutes to fill up, just like a normal,
Goodness me.
regular car, petrol or diesel. Whereas when you come to
Yes.
electric vehicles, it takes hours to charge up. So what would you prefer? Hydrogen car or an EV?
Well, given
On
what
the
he
face
said,
of it,
hydrogen.
EV, any time.
No, hydrogen, no.
Hydrogen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because you've always got this continual, what's known as range anxiety.
That's
and that's
right, yeah.
lying at the back of your mind, especially if you're going to go off-road
Yeah.
or unspecified areas, mate.
On a highway, yeah.
Yeah.
I had that experience at the start of this year, actually. the fuel light came on, and I was driving down the Pacific Highway from the North Coast, and the nearest petrol station, according to Google, was in Port Macquarie, which was 60 k's away. I was very nervous, but I was having range anxiety. Yeah. Tell us, when you fill up a hydrogen car, what are you filling the car up with? Is it water? What is it?
Okay, so you're filling up the car with actual hydrogen.
Gas?
Yes.
Okay.
I think how it is, they turn it into ammonia,
Yes.
and then it goes through the electrolyzer plant machine, and then it's converted into like proper hydrogen gas.
Okay.
And then in the vehicle, it's in the tank, and then it goes through the pipes into something called the fuel cell stack.
Okay.
That fuel cell stack converts the hydrogen to electricity, which will power the vehicle, the wheels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask a valid question on this? Hydrogen,
Yeah.
based on historic occurrences like
It's flammable.
highly flammable, like
Yeah.
Hindenburg,
Yeah.
was burned at a mooring mast in New Jersey in 1937. People have apprehensions about this. Have you got anything reassuring to say?
Yeah, look, the word hydrogen, like obviously people are,
Nervous.
bit nervous and scared because of the Hindenburg, because
Incident.
Back then, they didn't have the technology what they have now,
Okay.
right? Hydrogen is combustible, just like, diesel and petrol. So with the technology that we have right now, that, the scientists and the people that are involved in that industry have managed to, come up with a hydrogen tank,
Yes.
right? Which is very safe, and
Okay.
it's stored in there, just like diesel and petrol, right?
Yep.
So, but with this hydrogen tank, they've actually fired a bullet at it.
Wow.
I think it's got carbon or something protective or something like.
Impenetrable.
Yeah, and it doesn't blow up. Yeah,
It just bounces off the tank.
yeah, something like that.
So
yeah.
it's a woven fibre carbon.
Yeah, something.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. That's it's very secure.
Yeah.
And in the vehicle, they've got sensors. So
Okay.
if there's a leak, like a gas leak or something, it would alert you. Even if you're filling up the hydrogen,
Yes.
at the pump, where the when you put in the hydrogen
Nozzle.
the nozzle, that's right. There's some sort of like sensor thing that will talk to the car or something, and then it will detect if there's any leak or not,
Okay.
and then it'll just cut off.
So there are safety mechanisms.
Yeah, that's
or
right. Yeah,
procedures.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And so if I want to buy a hydrogen car in Australia, can I do that?
Look, right now, not yet, because Toyota and Hyundai have brought. Toyota's brought out the Toyota Mirai, the latest one, which is a sedan car. It looks really nice, and Hyundai have brought out the Nexo.
Nexo.
So both hydrogen cars, what they also do is purify the air around you.
Okay.
It cleans the air outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the options for heavy transport, because you work in heavy transport, are there hydrogen-powered buses or trucks or what?
There is overseas for hydrogen buses.
Okay.
I think in Europe and London, London Transport, they've got hydrogen double deckers.
Wow.
And in Australia, they're, going to be, getting into manufacturing hydrogen buses as well, not just electric buses.
Okay.
But right now, because I have a friend that, he works in the manufacturing of in buses. The company is called Custom Denning.
Okay.
Custom buses. And
Have you heard of that company, boys?
No,
Custom Denning?
I'd actually like to know where is most of the research coming from that's directed towards hydrogen?
Well, it's CSIRO, the government website arena.gov.au, that they've been researching into this, and the government's funding a lot of money into it to make it happen with the infrastructure and all that.
I think, gentlemen, jump in. But to me, this seems like a better option than EVs, given all the stations you've got to set up, the infrastructure that you need to set up for electric vehicles.
That's right.
I mean, Henry, would you prefer to have a hydrogen vehicle that you can fill up in 5 minutes and drive 5,000 Ks on one tank without having to refuel, or would you prefer an electric vehicle that you'd have to charge maybe once or twice a day? Well, yeah, given the Ks you drive for Uber.
Yeah, if that's true, then hydrogen will be a clear winner.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But look, you will have two options. Like there are people that have EV, electric vehicles, and they don't want to drive hydrogen. But I reckon the hydrogen is going to overtake EVs. I have this feeling.
Yeah.
Because they're going to put it out saying, okay, would you prefer to fill up a full tank within 3 to 5 minutes of hydrogen, or would you prefer to wait out, 4 to 6 hours for your, electric vehicle to be fully charged, and then off you go?
Well, ask Henry that question because he's the commercial driver.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
jump
for
in.
you, man, you'd probably be a hydrogen car.
My dream car at the moment would be Tesla 2016.
2016.
Where I can supercharge the battery for free.
For free?
Because anything later than that, you have to pay for the supercharger.
Okay.
But how could that take preference over how could that take preference over hydrogen when you've got this added ingredient with an electric vehicle of the range anxiety? Can you explain that?
Running out of charge, in other words.
Yeah. Running out of charge at the wrong moment.
Yeah, not much is known about hydrogen at the moment. Everyone is speculating on electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Tesla being the biggest name of them all at the moment.
Yeah.
And if I was to have my dream car at the moment, it would be
a Tesla.
2016, where I can drive Uber until 2026.
How far can you go in that car on a full charged
Probably around 500 kilometers, and then it takes 20 minutes to supercharge it again.
Okay. But you're talking about a city environment where if you're working within the parameters of a city, mate, is vastly different from going off to a long range drive in the country.
Yeah, it's just suitable for Uber driving within the city. It will last you a night, or you stop over somewhere for free supercharging while you're on your break. 20 minutes, or overnight using normal wall plug.
Wall plug.
The wall plug is the other option where you can charge at home.
Yeah, well, that is an issue with charging at home, which you have to leave it overnight till the morning. It will take more than 8 hours to fully charge your car.
You do the bulk of your work at night, though, don't you, Henry? You normally work overnight.
Yes, I normally drive overnight, yeah.
So you charge it during the day, I suppose. Well, I mean, semantics.
Oh, yeah, whenever I'm sleeping, if I was to do that. But it charges your electricity.
Yeah.
I would prefer the free supercharging from some shopping center.
Yeah, that sounds like
where it takes 20 minutes while I have a break.
And is hydrogen technically renewable? People like things to be I guess that's in vogue now. That's a catchy word, renewable.
Yeah, I mean,
is it renewable?
You can make green hydrogen.
Okay.
Out of 100% renewable energy, with solar, wind.
Hydrogen is a completely renewable resource. It forms one of the gases of the atmosphere.
Of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, indeed.
And that's why I say in the years to come, because we don't have, the infrastructure isn't there yet, but the government funding and all that, it's going to happen.
In terms of emissions, though, because it relies on combustion, does it? I don't know how it's...
So the only emission it is just water vapor.
Water vapor, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And basically, you can literally drink that water vapor.
You can collect it again. There's a button in the car, in the Toyota Mirai, where you press it and it will just empty out the
the water.
Okay.
And I've seen on video where they put a glass cup underneath.
Oh wow!
And then it's so clear that you can actually physically drink the water.
Try
Pure.
try imbibing carbon monoxide, mate. If you're in an enclosed space with an IC vehicle, it could kill you quite quickly. It's most unhealthy.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And even with heavy vehicles, I think overseas they have built hydrogen trucks.
Yeah,
but it's not. I don't think it's in Australia yet. But there are some new companies that are popping up.
Yeah,
and they want to start manufacturing hydrogen fuel cell vehicles.
Yeah,
trucks and all that here in Australia.
What I've now that you mentioned trucks, what I've never understood is that I understand point to point transport with cargo. You've got a truck, and obviously from the port to a warehouse, it's ideal to have a truck, right? But over longer distances, I'm not sure why more freight doesn't go by rail. When you've got a freight train that could potentially be a number of kilometres long.
Because you don't have the advantage of point to point.
No, but I mentioned that, but between states, say, for instance, across borders.
Well, the advantage of rail over any other form of transport is bulk transport. There's nothing that can even approach it.
Yeah, but why do we bother with interstate trucking?
Well, because of the advantages of trucking point to point, double or triple handling or whatever.
The idea I have in my mind is that you have a freight train, takes all the cargo containers or the sea containers to a big warehouse or a distribution centre at the edges of a city, and then they're collected from there to where they need to go.
Yeah. That's the point that I am making. But you obviously can't have a rail system, so then you truck it within the designated area of a major city or whatever.
Ideally, yeah. That's sort of what I'm imagining in my head. There's a lot of things going on here with transport. Talk to us, Dave, about the changes you've seen in transport over the years, because you grew up in the 50s and 60s and all through. Well, I mean, you would have seen a number of changes, I guess, with cars and transport and whatever else.
Well, I've already detailed in a previous encounter with you, Harry, that of the early the early
the real drivers.
The
real drivers.
The real drivers.
Yeah.
But they had to be contending with what I described. But that took so long ago. My parents sent us three boys to Sunday school at St John's in Glen Huntly Road, Elstonwick, so long ago, late 40s, early 30s. The rare 1920s tourer would come cruising down the road. That was part of life because a lot of those vehicles, due to the wartime stringencies, had been taken off and put up on blocks during the war.
Scrapped to make aeroplanes and things?
No, not scrapped at all. Okay. Just put up on blocks so they could be ready to operate as soon as the stringencies of wartime had gone.
Yeah. How have you found driving cars across the years? Because these days, what have we got? Reversing cameras and ABS brakes and all these little
the safety features and all that.
What are some other safety features?
Blind spot monitoring.
Yeah. Central locking and child proof.
Power windows.
Do you have any?
Lane adjustment.
Lane departure assistant or something.
Yeah. Or auto driving. Like self-driving.
How could you complain against any of those things? I mean, Dad had a flying standard. They had a wood frame body. The same as me with a Morris 8. And those bodies used to twist as they get older. And it wasn't unknown. They had a suicide door, which was hinged from the rear. And those doors could open. And it's happened to me and my grandmother. She was deposited on a corner.
Yeah.
It's cost lives. The body structure wasn't rigid like today.
Okay.
All those advantages, and especially cameras.
Yeah.
Picking up the presence of infants in the reversing. They can only be positive, mate, to save a lot of broken hearts.
One thing you've lamented, though, is the absence of a chassis on a modern car.
Oh, well, the unitary construction leads to a reduction in weight. This is all weight that's got to be carried around. Having a chassis is certainly stronger, but it's a weight penalty which has got to be exacted in extra fuel being consumed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there things that annoy you about driving today, like roundabouts, speed cameras, speed humps?
It consists of a lot of impractical people out there on the road that don't know how to adapt to conditions, and they dawdle and act in a nanny-like manner, which can be very frustrating to other motorists. But we're not all cast from the same thread, I suppose, so we've got to make allowance for people's failings.
You can tell a lot about a person's character by the way they drive, can't you?
We can. Indecisive, yes. And
well, another thing that what annoys me is
Muzzi K. Yeah.
broken roads and potholes.
Oh, especially after heavy rain.
Yes. Like in the city, right?
Yeah.
Like there are some broken roads and it's so uncomfortable. Like the bus just like
there's one
wobbles, it's so annoying.
Oh yes, for heavy transport.
For heavy transport.
Yeah, well that's the penalty of you can have a bus. What would a lengthy bus weigh? At least 20 tonne or any other heavy vehicle, and those potholes have got to be filled in as quickly as possible, mate. But that's what you get, especially with overloaded vehicles that exact their penalties on other motorists by destroying their roads.
Yeah, but the thing is, potholes get worse if you just leave them. The more cars that drive over them, especially overloaded ones, as you've just said, overloaded trucks and heavy vehicles, they just get tremendously worse to the point that a bus wobbles.
Yeah, but nevertheless, its suspension is rugged enough to take that. But a light motor car can't.
Well, imagine if you're driving a scooter and you drive.
Yeah, I know. I was driving when I was in the Army Reserve. I hit this massive pothole in Mowbray Road, and I was lucky to be able to hang on. The thing was wobbling everywhere, but.
See, with buses, right, they use air suspensions. They're not normal suspensions like springs where they can take those broken roads. But I've noticed when you've got air suspensions, it's not good.
Really? Why?
Like I said, the bus just wobbles and stuff. It's very unstable when you're going through broken roads and potholes and stuff. The bus just goes side to side and it's bumpy.
That doesn't mean the bus is unstable. The air suspension is just reacting in a predictable manner to the conditions. What would you rather have, springs or air suspension?
Well, I think, the buses are being used a lot and it's gone through wear and tear. And that's why the air suspensions are not working properly.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of air leak as well.
Well, I couldn't attribute any blame to the air suspension, mate. I think the air suspension is far superior to any form of mechanical suspension.
Have you ever? Sorry, go on.
That I can ascertain.
Have you ever almost lost control of a bus?
Not really, but I've noticed not all the buses, but here and there, some of the buses are not wheel aligned properly.
Okay. Do management know about this stuff?
Well, the thing is, the drivers are meant to be booking it up when they get back to the depot.
Okay.
And then the mechanics will get a list of things. Okay, this bus is, has issues with air suspension or whatever. So they'll they'll look into it and try and fix the problem.
I guess that'll be the private operator's problem in a few days.
You mean few weeks?
A few weeks, rather. Sorry, yeah. Henry, talk to us about some of the incidents you've had on the roads. You must have had a few over there.
Has the potholes ever like slashed your tires? Because that happened to me.
Slashed your tyres? Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Easy.
But surely, like, council has a responsibility, or whoever's responsible for the roads, the RMS or whoever it is. Council, right? If it's slashing your tyres, I mean, are you entitled to some damages or something? Or wouldn't you think? No, but seriously, because you rely on your car for livelihood.
Mine is tax deductible. I feel sorry for general motorists because tires can be very expensive, and
yeah, but you're losing income until it's repaired, right?
Yeah, I normally have a spare tire that I put on straight away, and the next day I would go to a tire shop and repair the or replace the spare one.
Okay.
But see, the problem is council don't act quickly to go fix those potholes. They take months and months to go fix it. When someone
they're not going to wait months, mate. Not if it's a standing pothole. They'll fix it overnight if necessarily.
They should.
Well, they should, yeah.
Because it could cause serious injury and potentially.
It depends how big the pothole is.
Yeah.
But overall, Sydney is doing a good job in repairing the roads. They're always doing the roadworks at night.
Yeah, there's a lot of roadworks. Yeah,
I think the onus is on the motorist. He's got to take care and he's got to be observant.
That's true.
Yeah.
You've got to. I'm referring to what was known as a nanny. A lot of people sit behind the wheel like a sack of potatoes, mate. To get on a motorbike would be an education for them.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, that with all this technology and moving towards driverless cars, which I've said before to you, Henry, could deprive you of a job at some point, and you too, Muzzi K, are we sort of being looked after too much or deprived of, control of a vehicle? I mean, is that justified, given what can happen? Yeah.
I think you're going to be waiting a very long time for a driverless car, mate. You know, there's several incidents overseas where people have died as a result. Don't pin your hopes too strongly on.
I don't hope in it.
It's not 100% there yet.
I hope it doesn't happen so that people who are bus drivers can still work and earn a living and pay their bills, and same for commercial Uber rideshare drivers and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, human intelligence still needed on the road. For now.
Sure.
Yeah, none of the car manufacturing companies has announced that will be self-driving cars in the near future. They do say it's going to be electric, but none of them are like promising anything about self-driving cars.
Okay, so you feel okay for the moment then, Henry?
All the people like change careers all the time.
Sure. Yeah. It does seem though that you enjoy this job more than some of the other jobs you've had. So I wouldn't like to see you replaced by a robot, you know?
Yeah, it's been 6.5 years doing rideshare, and a robot would be no match for me.
It's happening in all spheres. I'm concerned about recent graduates at the Great Hall, Sydney Uni, where you got your second degree, Harry, and I'm looking at these people working as legal clerks, and I'm thinking, well, their job's going to be consumed by computers. It extends to all parts of society, and it's a disturbance to me.
Yeah, a robot can malfunction at any time.
Yeah.
And it can be hacked as well too.
Yeah.
And overtaken, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see probably the supermarkets, they can, nearly get rid of all the stuff and have, robotics and stuff filling the shelves.
Yeah.
Everything automated. Even the self-serve checkouts, eventually they'll probably get rid of those where you go, they serve you and all that.
More unemployment. Yeah.
And robot vacuum.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. They can vacuum the whole floor.
Yeah. I guess in terms of the challenges of life, though, and convenience, people like things to be convenient, right? And if a robot can accomplish a task without drama or emotion or resistance, as compared to a worker who might be less reliable, then people might, or employers might opt for a robot, or clients or customers might prefer a robot or an automated process. But then, as a driver or as choosing a career that's challenging to you and puts you under stress or challenges your abilities and pushes you to your limits, we're sort of being deprived of those things as human beings, if you catch my drift. Yeah.
Do you think it's a deprivation to...
Well, I think life is inherently challenging. It should be challenging. It shouldn't be too comfortable, I would say.
No, I think you can get too complacent if you're too comfortable. Man was meant to cope with challenges. We don't want to end up as zombies without... It promotes competitiveness in sports and a lot of other areas of human endeavour. And without that, mate, life's just going to be totally bland.
For sure. Now, Dave, there's a poem, and I know you've been dying to read it. It's called The Pedal Car. I know you're a poet, and if you'd like, we'd love you to recite your poem there, the first few lines or the whole thing, if you like, whatever.
Before I do that, Harry, I'll just give you a brief introduction. My first, my grandmother Small on my mother's side, her first cousin was Mary Gilmore. Now, when the latest $10 note came out, I looked at that and I was astounded because it's a mirror image of my own dear mother, my now departed mother, who was born in 1910. In 1957, while I was still at school, I made about 3 requests from Mum for an introduction to Mary Gilmore, and I was told, oh no, she's a communist sympathiser and she's the family rat bag, so I'd prefer that you didn't meet her. So I missed that great opportunity. She was painted by William Dable, but sometime in the late 90s, I imagine I'd fallen in love with this physiotherapist, and it got me onto this poetry spree, and I didn't know I had it.
Wow, yeah.
And since that time, I have been writing poetry.
Yeah.
Now, the first one concerns a pedal car, which Dad had made for us 3 boys.
Okay.
And without further ado, I'll read it. Okay.
Take it away.
In the pedal car. In the year of 44, we were still embroiled in war. Every night, Dad would homeward wend, driving his flying Standard 10. With a charcoal burner at the rear, it must have been a cow to steer. Yes, at night, mostly late, he'd come flying through our front gate. From 12-hour shifts on a Herca slave, made him crave what Mum gave. After driving down our cindered drive where cabbages and chickens thrived and dived, he'd stop before our homemade air raid shelter on fire for Mum. He'd soon smelt her. One day, with eyes open wide, I asked him what he did. Fitting and turning, son, he replied, is how I earn my quid. Under Pol Granosky, Hitler hater and non-yid. If we falter now, we'll all feel the descent of death's dark lid, close over us with finality, so it's fight on or face calamity. I sought additional info about his occupation, but he'd replied, you'll know much more when you reach maturation. By then the Saviour's birth was drawing near in a weary world, and people held much higher hope for better things unfurled. Christmas Day dawned bright and clear, gift unwrapping time was here. Yes, under that tree in silver and red stood a thing to turn any kid's head. Imagine our pleasure, our surprise, when a brand new pedal car met our eyes. That had made it himself from what he could scrounge, that miniature marvel in our lounge, standing neath our sacred tree, like Christ himself, completely free. Dad had used his craftsman guile to decorate our tree in style, explained a lot like the canny grin whenever I'd questioned the tool shed din. Yet though I loved that little car, we too weren't into travelling far. With all escapes so far failed, I felt locked in Pentridge, jailed, until the day an unlocked gate presenting itself, we went out and exited ourselves. Yes, on that day unauthorised, I took that toy car for a drive. Leaving our Imperial Avenue abode, we headed towards Glen Huntly Road. Turning left towards the city, this I thought, pedalling on, is looking really pretty. Past Scotty's, mate of Dad's, ex-miner from the hill, wife it was who ran the till. Heard a compressor whine and pop within that tiny one-man shop. We're making toys for kids to thrill, worked on that man from Broken Hill. Came to Hopeton Gardens, heading west towards the city. This, thought I, travelling on, is looking really pretty. In Hopeton Gardens stood two smooth Boer war artillery, looking on in fierce futility at a faith often pilloried. Targets of the worldly set, whose bywords are me, my and get. Belief in only what we see is the only style of life for we, who rail upon the weak with voice and glower with great wealth's supposed power. Yet the put-upons are where God's light has always shone. Thinking thus, I pushed that car towards opposing portals of St. John's, a shelter for those put-upons, where having crossed over to the Presbyterians, I found myself content and egalitarian. Rejecting all that lack of faith did bode, I crossed that mighty road. With its road base of cement, I crossed because I was not in ferment. Because cement acts like faith as our goad neath some asphalt covering load. Unlike that set that says, let's not trust, we'll just fret, you bet. An old-time garage stood at the crest of the hill, run by a khaki boiler-suited attendant whose name I recall was Bill. What a line-up, what an array, in such a place I'd spend all day. Through an open door I saw a Stutz sedan, an Oldsmobile, and other names of motoring law. An A model, its innards scattered on the floor, set the scene I wanted more. While manning the gravity-fed bowsers of that garage on the hill, Bill came and asked me, are you going far? To which I'd replied, my limit is the tar. Just fill this car with petrol, I cried with careless laugh. Am I the kind of kid to do a thing by half? Returning with an oil can, Bill didn't walk, he ran. Upending that car, he oiled its cranks, for which he got my grateful thanks. So I left those old-time Bowsers with their amber fluid high, backtracking to Imperial Avenue and an anxious mother's sigh. An overall Bill saw me on my way. He didn't know. How could he tell I was just a stray? Yet still in travelling mode, I'd yet to cross Glen Huntley Road, recalling what I'd learnt from an anxious mother. Don't leave the curb without your heavenly cover. Look to your right, look to your left, and you'll not leave me bereft. Learnt mantra from mother being my favourite form of cover. I ventured forth with assurance, though carrying no insurance, when a clanging bell announced a tram rushing down. Its worried driver wore a frown, till a push, a shove, as from an angel high above, left me in Bluestone Gutter with that car muttering, I don't like the taste of grit nor tar, and who's the stranger from afar, who's rescued me from my plight like some noble venturing knight, who took me home, leaving me no more to roam. With my breakout failed, I may as well have been in Pentridge jail. When Dad got home that night, there was investigation. If all our kids were killed, he cried, who would defend the nation? Lack of freedom, lack of expression, like half the world, I was in repression. It isn't better than kids who won't risk a thing apart from cling to some cloying mother's apron strings. And that, folks, is the end of that poem. I hope you enjoyed it.
What
So
a
what do you
poetry.
Well, that was pretty good.
Wow, what a poem. What a poem.
Well, there are a few glitches there, mate, because I didn't get... Anyway.
No, that's okay. Thanks very much. There are certainly things that transcend wealth and power and money. Absolutely.
They can say that again. I have got other poems here.
Oh, well, that's enough for the moment.
Okay,
but yeah,
fair enough.
But no, that's okay.
Yeah.
We did enjoy it.
Thanks.
Let's wrap this episode up. Henry, I've got to say that we do need to get you and Matt on an episode together because he's been dying to debate you, and I don't know what's you were supposed to come to his place.
Oh yeah, I heard he wants to debate about the view on vaccination.
Are you
Me
nervous
being
about
an anti-vaxxer?
And crypto.
I'll be happy to take him on.
But are you nervous about debating him because you didn't come last time, and I think you were supposed to? Is that? I'm not sure what's going on.
Last time I was just tired, didn't make it. But if I knew he wanted a debate, that would have encouraged me to come.
Okay, all right. But you're happy to debate him, is that right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, because I think what does Matt want to debate Henry about again, Muzzi K?
Not just the COVID thing, but also crypto as well.
What about crypto? Because Henry's not a crypto skeptic. He's invested in it.
Yeah, I'm a crypto fan.
He's a fan.
Yeah,
So what's the deal?
I think I don't know, the way you invest or something like
his
that.
strategy.
Yeah, probably strategy.
Oh, yeah, the way I buy every coin and he doesn't do it.
Yeah, but has that worked out for you? I don't think it has.
Oh,
I don't.
Peace of mind. Like,
whenever
a coin went up 500%, like the other night, a coin called Cocos went up 500% in like few hours.
Did you sell it straight away?
I did. I profit on it straight away because I got it.
Oh, wow.
I bet, nobody else. I bet Matt hasn't got it.
What's it called?
Cocos.
Okay.
COCOS.
Okay.
Cocos. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So me having every single coin, it gives me a peace of mind of not missing out whenever a coin jump up in value.
So you hedge your bets to the next level. You sort of hedge on everything.
I judge a coin by the performance on the dollar.
I mean, some might compare that to betting on every horse in a race.
I reward the coins. The way I do it is I reward the coin whenever it performs well. If it's not performing well, I leave it as it is.
Okay.
Until one day it performs well.
Okay. So you're always monitoring them?
Always. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Always always watching.
Okay. And to tail this episode off, do you have a message for Matt? What do you want to say to him? He's probably going to listen
Matt
to
is
this.
quite an intelligent man. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be honored to have a chat with him in a podcast.
Do you want to challenge him in any way, or
So it's game on.
it's game on?
Yeah, bring it on.
Are you afraid to lose?
Oh, I'll say I'll lose so that he'll come and debate me. Otherwise, he's probably too scared to come.
So you're, so you're happy to lose. I'm happy. I don't mind losing. I mean, if I lose, I deserve to. and
I'll
they
admit
deserve
I'll
to
lose
win.
already.
Yeah.
I'll admit I will lose the day he comes.
Well, it's going to be an interesting, debate.
For sure.
And it could turn heated as well. But, yeah. So
Bring
it's
the
gonna,
fire extinguisher.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So
I think Matt is a professional man. Yeah,
He's a nice.
Yeah, it will be a professional debate.
Yeah.
We'll keep it professional.
yeah,
He's a gentleman.
yeah.
It's gentleman's
Yeah.
debate. That's right.
Indeed. Okay, signing off, Muzzi K.
All right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed episode 10 tonight on transport. And, we'll see you on the next one. Have a good night, guys.
Good night. See ya.
Good night, guys.
Good night, folks.
Sorry,
This episode's all about Christmas.
Yeah, we've deviated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's meant
But we
to be
shouldn't-
about Christmas.
Yeah, it is
so-
supposed to be about Christmas. Well, look, COVID has disrupted not only Christmas, but everyone's plans. So, in your opinion, COVID should not be able to spoil events like Christmas.
Oh, 100%.
Would you go to the church service, though? Would you go and sing Christmas carols with these
You
people?
haven't even let me finish.
That was the question, though. Would you? That's a question. So, if you can answer the question, please.
Would I?
Yes.
No, probably not.
The banks are evil, They start out with a $5,000 credit card. When you max that out, they ask you if you want to increase some more.
That's awful.
To 10 to 15 to 20.
Yeah, it was pretty dodgy, man, back then.
Yeah.
You're an idiot, mate, for going in the first place.
We all wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Everyone. got a bit messy in the end, but that's okay. We got there.